Essex County Council broke the rules over his involvement with a group which runs schools in the county. Lord Hanningfield didn't say in the register of members' interests that he was a director of the Academy's Enterprise Trust. The trust has taken over 5 secondary schools in Essex. But the local government watchdog says there's no evidence he acted improperly and no more action is being taken.
Men and women from Norfolk who've been in Afghanistan for the last 3 months came home to RAF Marham this afternoon. Tornado crews from the base were called into action almost every time they flew.
From the dry dust of Kandahar into the cold sleet of Norfolk. But after 3 months in a war zone, the reception for 31 Squadron doesn't get much warmer than this. Festive crackers have been saved for a late Christmas for Sue and Nigel's family in Sheringham.
We missed out on our family Christmas, so we're ready to do it again.
A late Christmas?
A late Christmas for us, yeah.
Dad's been away for 95 days, 2,250 hours and 135,015 minutes.
Victoria Lee is one of Marham's female tornado navigators.
How does it feel to be back?
Brilliant, brilliant, really good, thank you. Yeah, really good. Very cold, wet. Not expecting it to be
Who's this?
This is Sydney, my little niece.
I last met Victoria in Kandahar. She and her colleagues have flown more than 400 missions.
The tornado flies at up to 10 miles a minute, so it can be anywhere pretty quickly. So we've seen guys being fired at, and we've given them support by either telling them what's happening from the air so that they can work out their plan of action, feeding them direct video link, or even giving them guidance.
Well, this is the first of 4 homecomings for RAF Marham. As this squadron comes back, another 3 from the base will be going out to Afghanistan over the next 9 months.
6th Squadron has just been deployed to Kandahar, giving these folks a well-earned rest. They'll be back in time for Easter. Alex Dunlop, BBC Look East, RAF Marham.
In football, Colchester United fans have hit back at last night's report on Look East about tickets for the derby match against Norwich City. We told you about Chris Willan, who bought tickets for the match but was then told by Colchester United they were invalid.
Rob Cherry is a Colchester United fan, angry about my report on Look East last night. I told you about Chris Willan, who'd bought tickets in a home fan section at Colchester's Community Stadium.
The Football League regulations stipulate that you've got to segregate the 2 lots of fans. Now, that wasn't made clear on the report yesterday.
Rob Cherry wasn't the only angry fan. Ian Cronshaw emailed to say it was an unprofessional, biased, poorly researched piece of journalism. Oliver Broom called it one-sided garbage, while on Twitter, Stuart Wilson said Colchester are well within their rights on this issue. You should be ashamed. Norwich City fans have been allocated 1,900 tickets for Saturday's match. More than fair, say Colchester.
Norwich have got the same as pretty much everyone else who visits the Western Homes Community Stadium have got. So I think that it's a fair allocation, and the rest, as we know now, have been sold out by Colchester United fans.
We're very much the poor relation in terms to the local coverage we get on the media. When we beat Norwich 7-1, the local reports were centred more around the demise of Norwich City rather than the success of the Colchester team, what we had achieved on that day.
Thanks for your comments and criticism, despite what some fans might think. We're always listening. Mike Liggins, BBC Look East, Colchester.
And there'll be more on that match in tomorrow night's Look East, and both BBC Essex and BBC Radio Norfolk will have full coverage on Saturday. Also, don't forget, on Monday evening, the BBC's new regional football programme starts. Late kick-off, 11:35 on BBC One.
The man who runs the Speedway in King's Lynn will now run the football club as well. The council has announced that Buster Chapman has been chosen to take over the stadium. The lease will be finalised if Lynn FC is accepted into the FA and the Regions League.
Last week we went out in Ipswich to see how homeless people were coping with our cold winter. Since that report, the Salvation Army there has been overwhelmed by the response from Look East viewers.
Warm clothes to wear and warm covers to sleep under. Some of the things that homeless people need through a bitter winter.
About 10 waists too big for me.
Hod comes down to the outreach bus in central Ipswich every Wednesday to get some hot food.
You got any decent sized pairs of jeans or anything?
Last night he went away with a sleeping bag.
Yeah, it is. That's brilliant, man. Because the last one got a bit wet. Because we're in I'm here mating a small two-man tent, and the condensation, and when it was cold, it was freezing, so everything would get wet, a bit damp and that. But so we've got dry stuff, so it'll be a bit better.
Last week, we met the dedicated teams of people behind the bus, the NHS Outreach Service, Ipswich Soup Kitchen and the Salvation Army. There was a huge response from Look East viewers.
People have been amazingly generous. We're absolutely inundated with blankets and sleeping bags, clothes, all the things we need in this cold weather. So I'd like to say a big thank you, really, to all the people that have helped and contributed. It's very kind.
Vince, you've got a bag. Do you need a blanket with it? Yeah, I'll take it. Excellent. There we are. Thank you very much.
A blanket isn't a substitute for a permanent place to live, but it will make a hard life that little bit easier. And Jana Gadgill, BBC Look East.
You're watching Look East from the BBC. Coming up, Yarlswood Immigration Centre in Bedford is one of the only centres in the country which detains children. In the past, it's attracted controversy, and now it's attracted the attention of a top actress.
Juliet Stevenson has produced a play based on life in Yarlswood. It all started with a visit to the centre with a charity, and she now believes we should stop holding children and families in detention.
They took us to the airport. You don't check in with other passengers. The car brings you right to the plane. The company was Air France, so I could speak to the stewardess in French. I said, please help me. All I did is claim asylum. I have never done anything bad. Please help me. For my children.
They couldn't find my husband. Spoken by actors. But these are the words of mothers and children who have been held at Yarlswood. Passionate about the rights of people seeking asylum here, Juliet Stevenson visited the centre. Concerned by what she saw there, she thought the issue deserved a bigger audience.
We just felt that it was urgent, really, that these stories should be told. I think people feel very forgotten when they're inside these centres, and there are wonderful, they have visitors and so on, which is terrific, but I just felt that it was important that we get these stories out there, really, because I think there's a growing movement to end the detention of children in this way. So we very much wanted to sort of kick that debate going,
This piece of work has already played in London. Tonight it's here at the Civic Theatre in Bedford. Cecilia will also feature on tonight's bill, talking about her time in detention. She and her baby son fled Malawi in 2003 to escape her violent husband. They spent 50 days at Yarlswood, an experience she says still traumatises her son to this day.
The first question when we were locked in the room was, why are we in detention? And he commented, he said, I thought detention was for bad people. Did we do something wrong that they don't want us here?
Detention centres have always been controversial, but the Home Office says they're a necessary part of enforcing immigration control. If people are detained, their well-being is a priority. But plays like this one will continue to question what really goes on behind the barbed wire. Jo Black, BBC Look East.